Hello everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode. And today we are going to visit Githunguri Town, some 38 kilometers from Nairobi, the nation's capital. And the town is about 2 kilometers from here, but I want to show you something real quick. The weather is super great, and I love the last green. This is a typical rural ambience. What do you think, guys? And for information, I'm standing next to a car wash business, a village car wash, although no one is home. And there is a river nearby which is making a lot of noise. It seems like water is moving at a very high speed. I'll show you that in a few. And for your information, this is not the river. This is like a pool, a very contaminated one. There are a lot of car tires in there. I don't know why. But the real river is here. You can hear the noise. Very well, friends. Let's meet in Githunguri Town in a second. Well, everyone, I'm at Ruiru Githunguri Junction. This is where the road from Kiambu Town meets that one from Ruiru to Githunguri. And if I had decided to turn right, I could have ended up in Ruiru Town, some 25 kilometers from here. But I chose left, very intentional, since Githunguri Town starts right here. And I'll be hitting the town center in a few seconds. It's not a small town, I'm told. Let's wait and see. But what I know is that this very road goes all the way to Uplands, and it meets the Nairobi Nakuru highway at a point called Nyambari. If you are quite familiar with that road, just right before the viewpoint, there's a small town. It goes by the name Nyambari, and it is some 22 kilometers from here. And as you can see, the road is in a sorry state. It seems like a few boys have decided to take up the cross and do the dirty work in exchange for some few coins from the motorists. Well, I'm not sure whether they are driven by a sense of duty or they are out here to make some money. But all in all, they are doing a good job as someone is sleeping somewhere. Well, enough with the road shenanigans, and the Githunguri town is right here. And remember, this is not your ordinary town. It's quite historic. In fact, 62 years ago, about 71 Mau Mau warriors were killed by hanging right in the town center. And this was after the famous Lari Massacre, where the Mau Mau warriors had decided to kill hundreds of loyalists, including a chief around the Uplands area. To be precise, they killed a total of 71 people, most of whom were home guards and their families. Of course, the colonial government had to retaliate, and a total of 309 suspects were arrested. And the court of law happened to be right here in Githunguri town, where unfortunately 74 people were found guilty and they were killed by hanging. Well, that's quite a sad story about this beautiful town. And I'll be taking you to that ground where the hanging took place later in the video. So make sure you watch the video until the end. In fact, I'm reminded that the ground is currently disputed by the national government and the local people, as the government is proposing to build affordable houses on the ground, but some locals feels like the land should remain bare, as it reminds them of their history. In fact, to some, the land is like a shrine where innocent African blood was shed. So what do you think, guys? Should we build a museum or affordable houses on the land? So tell us on the comment section down below. And in the meantime, let me take this opportunity to welcome you to our YouTube channel, Village to Town TV, a channel that is dedicated to continue showcasing beautiful villages, towns, and cities across the continent of Africa. And so make sure you subscribe so that we can visit and document all these beautiful places together. Well, back to the video, and welcome to Githunguri Town. So far, so good. And to be honest, I'm quite amazed. I never expected the town to be this big. It is also quite modern, and I remember this is my first day here. I've never been to this area. And I expected the town to have a village outlook. I don't know where I got that bias from. But shock on me, this is a modern town. And I somehow feel like it's a bit bigger than Kiambu Town. I don't know your thoughts about that. Maybe you should help me compare the two. And remember, I did Kiambu video. It is on this channel. You can go and check it later. It is the county's capital. And I'm looking for a way to get into the town center. I want to see what's up. I also want to know whether the growth is cosmetic. You know, some towns grow along the main road. But so far so good. It seems like this is not the case here. I can see the Coca-Cola depot right here. And remember, the biggest dairy cooperative is in the town. It owns Fresha milk. I'll be taking you to their processing industry later in the video. And one fascinating thing about the company is that it is 100% owned by farmers. No government, no investors, no politicians, just farmers. And that tells you a lot about people from this area as far as social organization and investment is concerned. And I can see the food market is right here. It's on my left. And this being a village town means that you can get fresh produce right from the farm. And it's about 11 a.m. on a Wednesday. I'm not quite sure about today's date, but it's toward the end of May 2024. Tell me when you are watching this video. Maybe it's 2094. And the towns look busy. Everyone is going about their business. But there's another thing that I'm noticing. I'm not sure whether you have noticed it. And is that the old town is right here. Well, you can see the area has a U-shape, which is common with the old shopping centers. And there's a market at the center. While the buildings around here are quite old. It probably started as a small trading center before growing to its current status. But of course, you can see a sense of modernity is creeping in this old part of the town. There is a story building here and another one there. Probably an old-timer decided to sell his plot to give way for modernity, which is quite rare. But you can see most buildings remain very old. You can see that on my right. And remember, on the left is still the open market area. So there's nothing much to see. And let me give you a few demographic numbers as I leave the old part of the town. And Githunguri Town has a total population of 10,615 people. A number I find to be quite small comparing to the size of the town. But remember, this is a village town. And so there's a possibility that most people come to work here in the morning and go back to the villages in the evening. And the annual population change is at 0.54%. Well, if you do the quick maths, that tells you that in 10 years, the population would have increased by only 5%. Well, that's a slow growth right there. I don't know why, despite the fact that the town looks quite populated. And in terms of gender distribution, 52.4% were women, while only 47.6% were men. But let me give you more numbers that include the town and the surrounding villages. And as of last year, the area had a total population of 16,598 people. 8,207 were men, while 8,390 were women. And you can see that's quite a normal gender distribution. In fact, there are about 150 more women than men. Well, in terms of population density, the town has 1,147 people per square kilometer, which is not as densely populated as I had expected, as the entire neighborhood sits on a total area of 14.5 kilometers squared. And remember we said that a square kilometer is equal to 250 acres of land, for those who understand that kind of maths. I know most old-timers like me, we tend to understand land in terms of acreage. And so you can do your calculation and see the size of the town. Of course, I'm back to the main road, and this very road is in a pathetic state. I don't know who is responsible for it, whether the county government or the national government, but it's quite a big road. I told you to start from Ruiru town all the way to Uplands along the Nairobi-Nakuru highway, which are about some 50 kilometers, which tells you that the road is probably under the national government. And so whoever is sleeping on the job, whether the minister or the area MP or the president, should wake the heck up. It is also good to know that the Mau Mau Road network starts a few meters ahead. It is on my right and goes all the way to the Aberdares forest before finding its way to Murang'a and Nyeri counties. Well, let me give you more numbers regarding this area. And remember, Githunguri Town is the capital of Githunguri Constituency, which is one of the 12 constituencies in Kiambu County. And this happens to be one of the interior constituencies in the county, since others such as Kiamba, Ruiru, and Thika are quite urban. And it is also good to know that the entire constituency, which goes by the name Githunguri, has a total population of 165,232 people. And regarding population density, the area has an average of 947 people living in a square kilometer. Well, the annual population change is 1.1% per year. And that tells you that in 10 years, Githunguri population would have increased by about 11%. Well, that is not as big as you would expect. Remember, this is one of the most vote-rich regions in the country. There's a lot of people, but it seems like the population is growing at a slower rate. Another interesting piece of statistics is about gender distribution. Remember the numbers I gave you a few minutes ago were of this town, but I want to give you more about this constituency so that you can get the picture. So don't confuse about the two. There is Githunguri Town and Githunguri Constituency, and the town serves as the capital of the constituency. I hope that is clear. And in terms of distribution, 50.3% are women, while 49.6% are men. And that tells you that men and women are almost equal. In fact, there are almost 1,000 more women than men, which is a small number, considering the constituency has about 170,000 people. In terms of the intersex, only 8 people identified as such. And remember, the last general census was the first that the government decided to account for these people who have both male and female organs. I think they fell under the special people. Since life can be quite harsh to them, you can imagine going to a boarding school, a local one, and there you will be forced to conform to one gender, which is quite unfair. Well, let's check the age distribution. And for those aged 65 and above, which is the age considered as the elderly by the government, there are 12,002 people. And it's about 8% of the entire population. And you can easily tell that the number is a bit high, especially when compared to urban constituency such as Kiamba and Ruiru. And that tells you that life is a bit fair to the elderly in the villages than in urban centers. But don't get it twisted, it's a bit cold here, which can be quite chaotic for the elderly. And remember, Limuru is not far from here. In fact, it is the neighboring constituency. And remember, most of you consider it as the coldest town in Kenya. But let me not scare you off in case you want to settle here in future. The weather is not that bad. In fact, I find it to be quite amazing. Well, let's continue with the age numbers. And those aged 90 and above are only 755 people. And that tells you that the number decreases the higher you go. While those aged between 80 and 89 years are 2,249. The median age for the entire population are those aged between 10 and 19, as they form the majority at 33,791. I also checked the numbers on the highest level of education attained by most people in the constituency, and the results were quite amazing. And remember, this data was provided by the Kenyan Bureau of Statistics. They are as authentic as they come. And out of 144,000 people who have attained the age of 3 years and above, which is the age of going to school, 4,014 have university degrees. And it is also good to know that the disparity between men and women is quite high, as out of the 4,000 with the university degrees, 2,285 are men, while only 1,749 are females. And so it seems like the society is educating the boy child more, or maybe ladies in these areas are not into books, or maybe they are choosing to do other things. Who knows? Of course, there is more to life than books. And going forward, 51,914 have secondary school diplomas, while 65,945 have primary school certificates. Well, let's continue exploring the town. I'll come back with the real estate segment, the Momo execution ground, and the milk processing company. Well, everyone, I'm still in town and I want to take you to Githunguri Dairy Company, which is on my left. And of course, it will be a bad behavior to leave town without visiting the biggest employer in this constituency. I hope you can see the company right in front, the green buildings with a tank, a suspended tank. And as I told you earlier, the company is fully owned by farmers through a cooperative society, which is kind of unique, as most social companies are characterized with massive corruption. But this is not the case here. Githunguri farmers have proved otherwise. And of course, the road is not in a very nice condition. It seems to be well maintained, but it has been destroyed by heavy commercial vehicles. Remember, this is their area, transporting milk from all parts of the constituency to the company and taking away the processed stock to the market. And so that is expected. I hope you can see the company on my left. And I don't know why the green color. Maybe it's part of their brand. And I knew them from way back. They had a popular product called Fresha, both a yogurt and milk. If you are a Kenyan, probably have seen them in the market competing with other big brands. But let me not talk too much about the company, since it's not like I've been paid. No need to give a free mileage. But this is the point where I turn around and go back to the town and check some other features. Well, I can see this tall, beautiful building right opposite the company. It's quite beautiful. And to be honest, I did not expect to find such here. Githunguri has really surprised me in almost all dimensions. And that marked the start of a real estate segment. You can see the majestic tall building, quite beautiful. And I saw a 2-bedroom apartment. They are going for about 30,000 Kenya shillings, which is about 250 US dollars per month. But that is quite expensive considering that this town is in rural Kenya. But it seems like the building is worth it, especially if you consider class. But it is also good to consider that with about 10,000 Kenya shillings, you can get a very nice 2-bedroom apartment in the town. And with about 7,000 Kenya shillings, you can get a very nice 1-bedroom apartment. I hope you can see the beautiful apartment from a distance. What do you think, fam? Will you consider living there? You can see some church right across, and that is AIPCEA, Independent Church of East Africa. And there's a court of law behind these trees. I'm sure you can't see it, but it's right there. And the chief office is also in that area. And as I leave town, please continue watching the scenic video until the end and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Village to Town. Like the video so that it can be recommended to as many people as possible. And smash the notification bell so that every time we post, you'll be among the first few people to be notified. Also, keep the conversation going. Tell us what do you think about Githunguri Town. Will you consider living here? Are the house prices worth it? Also, tell us what do you think about the Mau Mau grounds. Should the government construct houses there, or a memorial instead should be constructed? Tell us down on the comment section below. They are open. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank the Village to Town TV gang, those who like and comment in every video. I see them all. And only that I cannot outline all your names because the list is long, but I appreciate the love. Thank you.